you're looking into the faces of the men of Britain somewhere in England on their way to the front. These pictures, now released by the Ministry of Information, give proof, if anywhere needed, of the smooth working of a gigantic job. The job of transporting a modern mechanized army across the sea. At every port it's the same story.
Somewhere in France, a mass parade of tanks. Light tanks and Bren gun carriers showing a turn of speed over new country. And motorcycles. Peacetime endurance trials have nothing on this. They charge in wide formation over the broken ground like a squadron of cavalry.
We live in a twilight world, and what you just saw there was some oldie-timey World War II footage of the BEF, the British Expeditionary Force. Now, you may have heard of them, you may have not. If you haven't, I'll just give you a quick little rundown of what they allegedly were. So, after Nazi Germany had invaded Poland, Britain and France declared war on Germany. Okay? And Britain put the BEF over in mainland Europe, mainly around France and Belgium, as a deterrent, supposedly to deter Hitler and the Germans from moving further west. Okay, that's what it's meant to be about. A flex, if you will, a show of force. Obviously, there's a lot more to it than this, right? The BEF allegedly were very poorly trained. They were mostly like volunteers. They were whipped together very quickly. And as you just saw in the footage there, they mostly just kind of drove around Europe, mostly France and Belgium, up and down, with their kind of light mechanized vehicles. Very much kind of the stuff I talk about regarding illusion warfare. You know, driving through every little village and town, making sure everyone saw them, right? Of course, the soldiers didn't know that. They just thought they were being a deterrent. And this was during the Boer War, when nothing was going on, yeah? The phony war, as they called it. So nothing was going on. And yeah, man, they would go and, you know, dig some trenches. They would get some intelligence saying, okay, there's a chance the Germans might push through a bit more further south, and they go down south and so on. And blah, blah, blah. That's about it, really. Now, the numbers themselves, I don't know. I remember as a kid it being 60,000 troops. Last time I checked online, which was a long time ago, allegedly it was 600,000 troops now. So they seem to have added a zero onto the number, you know. And, you know, I was going to say, you're free to go on, you know, whatever, Wikipedia and go look up the BEF, but the story they're going to tell you now is probably going to be very different from the story they told us 10 years ago, very different from the story they told us 20 years ago, and so on. Reality in history now is Wikipedia. Yeah, they go in and delete what they want and edit what they want. So, you know, it's up to you if you want to go look at the BEF via Google, via Wikipedia, because it's going to be a chicken feed answer, right? But anyway, the whole point of this video, it's going to be a quick video, is to highlight how many kind of echoes of World War II are currently happening now in this here World War 33. You're seeing a lot of repeated play. The playbook seems to be the same, right? So yeah, we have the BEF. And of course now, we fast forward to the present, we have the JEF, the Joint Expeditionary Force, which is a British-led coalition of 10 nations, mainly from the Baltic region. And yeah, man, so the BEF, the JEF. You know? Very similar, right? Not only in name, but in what they're doing currently. So the first red flag is that it's a British-led coalition, right? You know, when a double-cross empire start running things, that's always a bad sign. I mean, they're always running things anyway, but when they do it overtly like this, you know, yet again, it's another echo of World War II. I'm not going to get into it heavily in this video. I've covered it in many other videos, but the whole of World War II was a massive double-cross operation set up by the City of London with the people in the highest levels of the Nazi high command in on it. Same with the highest levels of the people in the Soviet Union, and same with the highest people in Europe, America, everyone, you know. A very small amount of people, but in the key top of the pyramid positions, pulling off this massive illusion operation that was World War II. And you're seeing that again now here in World War 33. So yeah, the Jeff, we've had the Beth, and now we've got the Jeff, Echoes of Eternity, same playbook repeating itself. Next up, we got the 7th Armoured Brigade. I think they've changed their name now. I think they're the 7th Light Armoured Brigade. But anyway, they're known as the Desert Rats. The Desert Rats have now taken the lead role in the Allied Rapid Reaction Force, or Rapid Response Task Force, that lead NATO if there's ever a situation across the world. So once again, a double cross. The British military is in charge of the NATO land forces right now. Yeah, again, this is, you know, it's all fitting into place, right? Echoes of World War II all over again. Now, the thing about the Desert Rats is they were very kind of key in the whole, you know, battles of North Africa that happened in World War II. And that's where a lot of the most amazing and outrageous and ludicrous kind of military deception happened in World War II. Definitely worth checking out. I might do a lot more videos on it, man. So things like the Battle of El Alamein, the second Battle of El Alamein, you know, it's really where Britain, the double cross, took deception in warfare to dizzying new heights, to ridiculous levels, right? And, you know, yet again, we're supposed to believe that Britain kicked the shit out of the Nazis in Germany, but they couldn't do it on their own doorstep in Europe. Little things like that are kind of what give away World War II being a massive setup and an illusion warfare operation. A lot of people would ask me to go more in depth about World War II, and I will when I've got time. I'd probably have to do it in loads of different little segments, but regarding World War II, you have to look at a supposed kind of admitted deception campaign and then take a step back and ask yourself, did the soldiers taking part in that deception know it or not? And was a deception campaign later then portrayed to the world as a real event? For example, they might have done a simulated Normandy landing somewhere in, like, you know, Slapton Sands, which is the same kind of aesthetic environment, and then use that footage and present it to the world as the real D-Day landing and so on. And basically, you know, double crossing all the soldiers, kind of telling them, okay, you're in a deception campaign, but you're in the real thing. And then last minute switching over, going, no, actually, guys, you're in the real thing. You're in the deception, you know, and all that kind of business goes on, right? But anyway, back to this video. Now then, let's get to the juicy part. Exercise Steadfast Defender, which I believe is now on its way, or it's getting going. And this is supposedly the largest NATO exercise since the Cold War. Allegedly, there's 90,000 troops involved. And, you know, I think it starts off in Poland. I think the first one is called Polish Dragon 24. And the one after that is called Exercise Brilliant Jump. You know, these names are very revealing. But essentially, you know, from what I've seen, it's pretty much the same as that first video I showed you. It's going to start with the 7th Armoured Brigade or 7th Light Infantry Brigade or whatever they're called now, the Desert Rats, who are now leading NATO's ground forces. They're going to obviously accumulate in Britain, and they're going to drive the long-ass fucking way round through Europe, passing through every little village, every town, making sure that people that don't have a black cube, they don't have a TV, they don't have a laptop, they don't have a smartphone, doesn't matter, because they're going to see armoured vehicles driving down their street, And that is going to bring home to them war in their minds, right? The fear of the mind. They're going to see tanks and shit driving past, and that's going to make them feel very uneasy. It's going to scare the shit out of them. That's the whole point, right? They want every person on this planet to believe in the war, and that is what is going to manifest it into reality via the people participating in it. So yeah, Steadfast Defender. I'm obviously keeping my eye on this because like last year, around this time last year, I was keeping my eye on Exercise Orion, which coincided with the French protests and riots and civil unrest, which was my Illusion Warfare report number 3, which is probably some of my best work, you know, if I'm allowed to blow my own trumpet here. Yeah, and that started off with, you know, videos appearing on the internet of British troops in French towns and villages just doing mock fighting in the streets around like bemused civilians who had no idea what the fuck was going on. You know, people just walking past with their bags of shopping, you know, women walking past with a little baby in a pushchair, while there's Gurkha troops fighting on the streets and tanks driving around and stuff. You know, crazy stuff. Of course, you never know. I mean, I kind of speculate that in 50 years' time, that footage they're going to claim was real fighting. You know, once we're really old and we're sitting in retirement homes with dementia, you know, pissing ourselves and shitting ourselves, we're not going to be there to be able to tell the young ones that that was not what happened. Of course, we're just going to be crazy old people with dementia. But yeah, all of that footage is going to be passed off as real. Same with this Exercise Defender, Steadfast Defender. All this footage you're going to see of armour, massive amounts of armour and troops driving through Europe, they're going to say is real. Just like the very first video I showed you with the BEF. Now, were they really there to deter Germany, or was that a training exercise that at a later date was passed off as real? I mean, these are just questions I'm putting out there. I mean, I don't know for sure. Wisdom is knowing you know nothing. I wasn't around in those times. But, you know, we all lived through the scamdemic. And, you know, we're all aware of what the hidden hand is up to. How, you know, history is just a lot of lies, a lot of twists and turns, a lot of deception and a lot of illusion. So now I'm going to leave you with a video that I think you'll find is an echo of the very first video I showed you. We live in a twilight world. There are no friends at dusk.
This is the start of Exercise Steadfast Defender, NATO's largest exercise since the Cold War. 500 troops, 162 military vehicles, but this is just the beginning. Operating under the Spearhead Force, NATO's Very High Readiness Joint Task Force, the 2nd Battalion, the Royal Anglian Regiment, known as the Poachers, are convoying through villages in the East Midlands with foxhounds, jackals and Land Rovers, to the surprise of locals. This is all in preparation for their involvement in NATO's Steadfast Defender, where they will begin with Exercise Polish Dragon, one of its 11 exercises taking place in Poland. Exercise Steadfast Defender will travel through the entire transatlantic region as a show of force, strength and unity of NATO allies, following the illegal invasion of Russian troops to Ukraine. Let's break down the numbers. There's a total of 90,000 soldiers taking part from 31 allies and Sweden, 20,000 from the UK Armed Forces. The British Army are deploying 16,000 troops, including tanks, artillery, helicopters, parachutes, an Army and Navy Joint Helicopter Force and Army Special Operations Forces. The Royal Navy are sending 2,000 sailors, 8 warships and submarines, a UK carrier strike group along with F-35B Lightning jets, helicopters and escort ships, and more than 400 Royal Marine commandos. The RAF are sending an F-35B Lightning attack aircraft and Poseidon P-8 surveillance aircraft. Back at Kendry Barracks, this is just one element of the Spearhead Force, which is led by 7th Light Mechanised Brigade Combat Team, the Desert Rats, who command the multinational land force of around 6,000 troops and more than 600 armoured and protected mobility vehicles. Under their command, they'll be ready to deploy at speed to NATO's call. Kirsty Chambers, Forces News, Kendry Barracks. Thanks for watching. For more